Hello and welcome back to English for You. We've been expecting you.
Yeah, we have. All right, I'm Kat.
And I'm Seb.
And we are going back on our article about the New Taipei City Toy Bank.
Right, the toy bank.
Which is very, very cool.
It is, but what was it again? What was the toy bank?
The Toy Bank is a charity. It's a group in New Taipei City called Toy Bank New Taipei City, for obvious reasons. It wouldn't be called Taichung Toy Bank because it's not in Taichung.
Right.
And what they do is they collect old toys.
They do.
Yeah, to be refreshed and reused.
And I think that was because they're great educational helpers. You know,
Yes.
It's helping families and households that are in poverty. Maybe they don't have enough money to take care of their kids. Maybe they don't have the time or money to take care of their elders or elderly people. That was one of our words from yesterday.
Yeah.
But either way, they're doing a lot of good work, a lot of very important work in New Taipei City. And today we're going to find out more about what they're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're going to find out about kind of what is their process for sorting out the toys and getting them to people, because it does sound like hard work, even though it says it's easy for them.
10 tons of toys, right? That's
10 tons of toys.
A lot of toys.
10 tons of toys. Yeah, so let's find out how they do it.
Let's do it.
Reading.
Meet the group that's using toys to turn lives around. Every child is different, and so are the things they play with. This is just one reason why the people at Toy Bank spend hours organizing the toys there into different categories. From model building to sports, this helps make sure that the right toys reach the right people. Once sorted, many of Toy Bank's toys are sent to community centers around Taiwan and abroad. The charity also has its own center, the Toy Library, which is free for anyone to use. It also hosts special events, where people of all ages work together to complete challenging puzzles. This all may sound like fun and games, but Toy Bank has some serious goals. With the activities, they're teaching young people to be socially responsible and fighting loneliness among senior citizens. Toy Bank Director Fang Xiaoyu says this shows the difference toys can make. From education to social work, only good can come out of them. Getting to share that with people is what I love most about this job.
So our article starts with a very true statement. It is, every child is different, and so are the things they play with.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
That's
is true.
Yeah.
Everyone is different.
Yeah, and so are the things they play with. And this is actually our first grammar point. So
Grammar already?
Grammar already. So we're going to cut right to that. This was a very short cut. We'll be right back with you. All right, so we are looking at this grammar point, which is so plus a be verb or auxiliary verb plus a subject complement. And the subject complement is in agreement with the first subject. So we have this sentence, every child is different, and so are the things they play with. This is like saying every child is different, and the things they play with are also different, are different too. If we say so are something, that means this is true of this other thing too. So in here, when we're using so, be, or auxiliary and subject complement, we have to make sure that the verb agrees in tense and type with the first one. So we have three categories of these. The first one is be verbs. So we have am, are, and is, like we saw in the sentence. So if we have a be verb, it has to be followed with a be verb. The second category is auxiliaries, things like will, or can, or should, or may, or might, something like that. Those also have to be followed with the same auxiliary. So if I say, I will go to the shop and so will you, that's how we do it. Or if you have an action verb like eat, run, something like that, it has to be followed with do. Because we cannot follow it with the same verb. It sounds really silly. I'll show you in a minute. So an example of a be verb, my mom is American and so is my dad. Or so are my grandparents. You can use different verbs depending on the subject complement, but they have to be be verbs. Here's an example of an auxiliary. Can, have, would, should, will. Kate can run very fast, and so can William. So we use can and can. Not, Kate can run very fast, and so runs William. That sounds very silly. It sounds like Kate is running William. Or if you have an action verb without an auxiliary, or a be verb, you'll use do. I eat a lot of bananas and so do you. Not, I eat a lot of bananas and so eat you. I do not want to eat you. No, thank you. I eat a lot of bananas and so do you. So this is how we use so, auxiliary or be, and subject complement. Okay, so we're saying that children all play with different toys, and the toys are very different too. And
They're very different.
Yeah, and the article says this is just one reason why the people at Toy Bank spend hours organizing the toys there into different categories.
Right, they're organizing the toys into different categories. Now, when we organize something, we arrange it so it is in a particular way or in a particular order. We could organize the books on our shelves from A to Z, for example, or we could organize our diary so we can fit more things into a single day. So there are other similar words we can use which are like organize. We could talk about alphabetizing something. Yeah, that comes from the word alphabet. So remember how I just said organizing things from A to Z, or Z if you're British? We would talk about alphabetizing those things. Or we could talk about clearing out something. And to clear out something is to remove all the unwanted things from a space so that it is neater. So you could clear out the garage, for example, or clear out the closet.
Yeah, hopefully you could do both.
Hopefully you could do both. Anyway, we can also use organize as an adjective. We can say organized. So that's, using the past participle as an adjective. That's something you'll have studied. However, that means someone who is neat, tidy, and plans things properly. So an organized person is someone who's always ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not me.
It's not me either. So our example sentence for organize is, before the party, Chloe organized her furniture so that there was more space for her guests.
Okay, that's nice
Clever
of Chloe.
Yeah.
Yes. Well done. And then we had this other word, category.
We do. We have category. And a category is a group of different things that share a common quality. So different categories of films, for example, could be comedies, they could be horror films, documentaries, and action movies. Those are different categories of films.
Yeah, you could also call those genres.
Genres,
couldn't you?
yes.
For films
fancy.
And music and movies and things like that. Okay, going on with our article. From model building to sports, this helps make sure that the right toys reach the right people. This being the way they organize it. So if we're talking about something like model building, maybe this is something that some of you have done. Model building is when you are making a model, which is something like smaller or it's a not real version of certain things. Like very common models are like ships. Sometimes you'll see a ship in a bottle, or model planes, which you can actually fly, but you can't put a person on them because they're very small. They're like this big. Yeah. And they have other kinds of models too.
Different kinds of models, yes. Anyway, on to our article. And once sorted, many of Toy Bank's toys are sent to community centers around Taiwan and abroad. Okay, so what is a community center? We're about to find out. So a community is a group of people that live close together. Quite often we can talk about communities as being neighborhoods or villages where everyone knows each other and sometimes hold meetings together to make certain decisions. However, communities can also be a group of people that share a certain quality or that support each other. So we could talk about, the Chinese, Spanish, French community in a particular town. So those are all the Chinese, Spanish, or French people who live in a certain area, or the LGBTQ community. So a community center is a center that is open for the community to use whenever they want to use it. So normally it's a big hall which just has a lot of chairs, maybe it has a music system, maybe it has, some games and stuff. So people can use that center as they like if they're people from the community.
All right, so a community center, they have a lot of community centers that they send them to around Taiwan. So it's not only New Taipei City. They just are focused there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And also they have one other thing that they have. The charity also has its own center. The toy library. Woohoo! Which is free for anyone to use. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So the article says that is the toy library, it also hosts special events where people of all ages work together to complete challenging puzzles.
Challenging, very challenging.
Is a challenging word.
Yes.
Okay, so we saw the word host there, and host is a verb, and when a group, organization, or person hosts an event, it offers a space that belongs to it for that event to happen. So often they will organize, so for example, if I own a cafe, for example, and I offer my cafe for someone to host to have a birthday party, I could say that I am hosting the birthday party at my cafe. You know, I'm giving my space so that people can have the party there.
Right.
We could also say that maybe it's not my cafe, but maybe I'm organizing the party, and I bought the cake, I got all the drinks ready, I got everything sorted, so I'm also hosting there. I am the host, that we can use it as a noun as well, or we can also say hostess for a woman.
Host or hostess.
Host or hostess, So our example sentence for host is, Violet loves a good party. Last week, she hosted one at her house and 50 people came.
Wow. Violet has a lot of friends.
Violet has a lot of friends.
That's awesome. And then we have this other word, challenging, which is very challenging for Seb to say.
Yes,
so
challenging.
Challenging is an adjective that actually means difficult, as you might have guessed. But usually it means difficult in a good way. So if something is challenging, when you're doing it, it trains your brain, it makes you think hard, you develop good problem-solving skills. Or if you're doing exercise that is challenging, it trains your body, it makes you stronger. So there should be a good result from the difficult thing that you're doing, the challenging thing, which is usually self-improvement or learning or something like that. And this comes from the noun and verb challenge. So challenge is both a noun and a verb. If you challenge somebody, that means maybe you are asking them to have a competition with you.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you take on a challenge, it means you are choosing to do something difficult so that you can, feel like, yeah, I did it.
You're accepting that challenge.
Yeah, you're accepting
the
challenge.
Bring it on.
Yeah, we can do it. Jayo. Okay, here's an example sentence. The book that Aaron decided to read was very challenging, but he finished it and learned a lot from doing so.
A difficult read.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about these challenging games, these activities, the toy library, and the article says, this all may sound like fun and games, but Toy Bank has some serious goals. So all fun and games?
Yeah.
Literally fun and games?
Kind of literally fun and games, but fun and games can also be an idiom, not very literal. It just means something silly. It's just for fun. You're not really thinking about anything too meaningful. And this is actually part of a very funny saying, which you'll hear a lot of English-speaking parents say. It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. This means...
I've never heard that.
This means, like, don't play with dangerous things or else, somebody's going to get hurt. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so we have this other word, goal, here. If you have a serious goal, a goal is a noun that means something you want to do or achieve, which might be challenging or it might be kind of a big deal for you. When you finish it, you're going to feel very, very accomplished and proud. So there are different kinds of goals. One might be a life goal. That means a goal that you want to do before you die, what you want to do in your life. Maybe, open a business, you want to get married, you want to travel to a certain number of countries, have some kids, make the world a better place, all sorts of things. Long-term goals could also be like these things. But then you have short-term goals. So short-term goals are goals for just not very long in the future. For example, if you want to get an A in this class that you are in right now, that's a short-term goal. Or if you want to save money to buy something you want, or you want to make more friends, those are short-term goals. Also, a fun use of goal is scoring in a soccer or football match, and that's when everybody says, goal, very long and very loud. Here's another example. Martha's goal before she's 30 is to travel to 30 different countries.
So our next line of the article is, with the activities, they're teaching young people to be socially responsible and fighting loneliness among senior citizens.
Get out, loneliness.
Awesome. Boom, go. Yeah. Anyway, they're not punching them. No. So we have a vocab word there, activity, and that's a noun. And an activity is something enjoyable that you do to achieve a particular aim. In school, you might take part in after school or after class activities. Those could be sports, arts and crafts or anything else, you know, something you do after your classes for fun.
Yeah.
So we take part in, we do, or we engage in an activity. So those are all the different verbs you can use. And there's an adjective form of activity as well, and that is active. It's a little bit different, but someone who is active is someone who does a lot, or someone who does a lot towards something, or someone who likes sports. So somebody who's really, you know, go, 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 doing this, that, and the third. Yeah, is a very active person.
Yeah, if you have a lot of energy or you play a lot of sports.
Yes. So our example sentence for activity is, from French to football, this community center has lots of classes and activities that everyone can enjoy.
That sounds like fun. I think I'd like to sign up for some activities there.
I would like to do some activities as well.
Yeah, take a French class or something. All right, and here we're talking about the thing we were punching just a second ago, which is loneliness. We don't want loneliness.
No.
Okay? Loneliness is a noun that means being lonely. Then lonely is the adjective. If you add ness to any adjective, not any adjective, but some adjectives like lonely, you get loneliness and it becomes a noun. That means if you have ness, it's a state of being a certain way. For example, happiness is the state of being happy. Cuteness is the state of being cute, like Seb.
Like me.
Yes, Seb has a lot of cuteness about him. All right, if you are...
I'm blushing.
If you are lonely or experiencing loneliness, you don't have people to talk to, you don't feel connected with people around you. You feel like even if you're in a big crowd, nobody really wants to know you or engage with you, and you need somebody to share your life and your feelings with, because humans need humans. That's what I always say.
Right, yeah. They do.
So an example of this might be, Tom had a great feeling of loneliness after his breakup, since he had few friends or family members to talk to. Poor Tom, go make some friends.
Yes, get out there. Okay, but we also saw the word senior as well, and that's another important one to the whole idea we're talking about here. Senior is an adjective, and someone senior is someone who is elderly, the word that we learned last episode. So we can talk about, we can actually use this word as both an adjective and a noun. We can talk about senior citizens, which are elderly people, or seniors, which is the same meaning, but senior there is a noun. So senior is basically a much politer way of saying old people. We don't normally say old people like that. We would call them elderly, or we'd call them senior.
Right, because old makes them sound kind of like an object.
Yeah, and it sounds like you don't care about them as well. So we can also talk about someone in a company being senior. Now, when we're saying that, we're not necessarily saying that they are old. We could be saying that they are higher up in the company. So they're your boss, or they're a manager, you know, someone up
like
here.
Like a senior executive.
A senior executive.
They're very close to the CEO or the way the company runs from the top.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then we go on with our article. All right. So we're talking about how they can help out seniors, how they, organize these activities at the library, and they have their own community center. They send toys out to other community centers. They do lots of great things. So now we're talking to one of the director of Toy Bank, and his name is Fang Xiaoyu.
Great guy.
Yeah, Toy Bank director Fang Xiaoyu says this shows the difference toys can make.
Yes, he says, from education to social work, only good can come out of them. Okay, so there's, we've got the two purposes of toys there. We can talk about, toys being educational, like we talked about last time, or social work. And social work is kind of all of the stuff we've been talking about in these two episodes, helping elderly people, teaching children. This is
building a community.
Building a community, offering support. These are all kinds of social work.
Yes. All right, and he goes on to say, getting to share that with people is what I love most about this job. So it sounds like that's a great job to have, because it's very meaningful.
It sounds very rewarding, right? When a job is rewarding, by the way, that means that we're getting a lot out of it, and not money, but we get a good feeling, maybe because we're helping people, or we can see people improve, then we feel good about what we're doing.
Right.
So, unfortunately, that's all the time we have to talk about Toy Bank Taipei, New Taipei City, sorry. But we have just enough time for one more For You Chat question.
All right, let's do it now.
Let's do it now.
For You Chat.
Okay, so here we are with our For You Chat question for the end of day 2, and it is, think of a problem in your local community. So Seb's local community, maybe back home. How would you fix it?
Right, so this problem is kind of more of a general one in Europe.
Okay.
And it's one that's been going for quite a while. And it is the refugee crisis.
Oh,
okay, so at the moment, a lot of people are coming in from the Middle East, from Syria, from North Africa, because of lots of conflicts, lots of wars, lots of very difficult periods in that part of the world. And Europe is having some trouble right now in, finding ways to accommodate them. And it's not really a question of whether they can. It's more about being more active. A lot of governments are saying, no, we don't want to take in refugees, we can't help them.
Yeah.
But some good things that have been done is, for example, in Germany, they have like a program where people can put up their house to offer to take in a refugee or a refugee family.
Oh, that's nice.
And and share their living space with them.
Okay.
So I would argue that we could be doing more of that. And we could also be thinking, when these kind of problems arise, it's not really happening in Taiwan now, but if it did, you could think to yourself, do I have extra space? Could I offer, part of my apartment or my house to somebody who really needs it?
Right.
Because these are problems that, they happen again. Because there's sadly lots of bad things that happen in the world. Yeah, so that would be mine.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think that would be a really good thing to do for people, and especially with, the amount of people who are trying to move from a bad situation into a good one now around the world. So maybe this is something you can think about too. Think of, there's, Taiwan may be great, but it's not perfect. There's lots of problems here in our local community. Think of what you would try to fix and how would you do it. I think that's a really good topic for discussion. So go ahead and think about that, and we are going to go because we are out of time. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Meet the group that's using toys to turn lives around. Every child is different, and so are the things they play with. This is just one reason why the people at Toy Bank spend hours organizing the toys there into different categories. From model building to sports, this helps make sure that the right toys reach the right people. Once sorted, many of Toy Bank's toys are sent to community centers around Taiwan and abroad. The charity also has its own center, the Toy Library, which is free for anyone to use. It also hosts special events, where people of all ages work together to complete challenging puzzles. This all may sound like fun and games, but Toy Bank has some serious goals. With the activities, they're teaching young people to be socially responsible and fighting loneliness among senior citizens. Toy Bank Director Fang Xiaoyu says this shows the difference toys can make. From education to social work, only good can come out of them. Getting to share that with people is what I love most about this job.
Vocabulary Review. Organize. Tommy organized his dinosaur figures from biggest to smallest. Host. In less than a year's time, Tokyo will host the 2020 Summer Olympics. Challenging. Climbing up Mount Everest was the most challenging thing Matt had ever attempted. Goal. Ethan is working as a teacher right now, but his long-term goal is to be an actor. Activity. This summer camp offers lots of fun activities, including sailing and hiking in the mountains. Loneliness. Rowena struggled with loneliness after her husband passed away.
智慧小补帖
Category. Community. Senior.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000。 或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net